Good evening and welcome to Real Talk with Anele right here on SABC 3. The stage is yours. My guest for tonight is one with an incredible tale of victory and triumph. His captivating story of growing up poor, being a millionaire at the age of 28 and losing it all by the time he was 30 is really one for the books. Get ready to be amazed by a true rags to riches story unlike no other. His journey towards success is the inspiration behind his best-selling book titled, What's Your Moonshot? If you still don't know who I'm talking about by now, then please allow me to introduce trend specialist, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and best-selling author, Sanei.
Thank you so much. So good to be here.
I tell people you are my favorite speaker in the world, right?
Wow, thank you.
You know when, because I've been told I speak well.
Oh, yes.
But when I sit and I watch you and I'm just like, I get jealous. I'm like, but why can't I be like that? Okay, A, I'm not Lebanese, short and male, but
Wow.
you know what I'm saying?
Short? Me?
What? Just when you're not standing on your wallet.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So your grandfather lived until he was 104.
That's right. Yes. Firstly, I'm Persian, not Lebanese.
Oh, sorry.
But no problem. That's
so
fine. We
we're
all
the
say same place. Yeah, they're in my car.
Oh, thank you. Great.
My granddad lived to 104. He was born in 1900 and passed away in 2004. Yeah.
Okay, so now, out of 104 of the years that he's alive, right, and he's clearly made a very big impact on you, but what stands out for me in the lessons that he left you with was, he said that the price of bread didn't change for 35 of those years.
That's right. So the inflation, what the story he was trying to get across is that from 1910 to about 1942 to 45, the price of bread stayed stable. And this really boggled my mind when I heard about it, because I just thought, you know, how was it that there was a world where things went so slowly?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now today, price fluctuates almost daily, maybe even a few times a day.
This morning I went to the shop, bread could be one price. I could go on the way back from the show.
Exactly.
It could be another price.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is why I'm very fascinated by every time you open your mouth, because you're always advocating change, right? You're always anticipating it, and you're teaching us to also embrace it and anticipate it, right? Yes. So what's the danger in us not liking change?
Well, I think most human beings don't like change, because we're creatures of habit, and we love going through the process of rituals, habits, and behaviors, and we don't like changing those. And my mission in life is to bring clarity and courage to audiences and decision makers around the world, so that they're able to bring about this new question that often makes them feel very uncomfortable about their future, whether it's in their personal capacity or in their organization's capacity.
So are you born thinking like this, or is it something that you yourself had to, and excuse the pun, change about yourself?
Good one. It was inherent in me. I've always been an early adopter myself. I've always been looking at the next thing. And I've just come to a point now that I've realized that other people didn't think or don't think like I do, which was a fascinating time in my life. I was like, I always thought everybody kind of thought the same way I did. And since I figured that out, I've now been building stories and writing books around helping people build the courage to make change.
Okay, so you're 13 years old. You don't come from a wealthy family.
No.
You're from a family that just barely makes ends meet, so there's no time for luxury.
Yes.
You want to buy video games like all the other kids in school, so you can also be part of the conversation.
Yes, that's right.
All right, I like that.
Yes.
So you decide to get yourself a job packing groceries.
Spar, that's Spar,
at a friendly grocer,
yes.
That's right. What does that job teach you about yourself at 13 that you still apply to your life now?
Freedom. Financial freedom, you know, giving me the ability to make decisions without my mom feeling suppressed and sort of anxious around not being able to help us, and the ability to get out there and feel this freedom and create a career or a job or move with energy to be able to move other people around me in order to be able to bring this freedom into my life. And I think freedom is something that we all love and want access to, and I think freedom's the word I want to go with there, yeah.
So then you also speak about the fact that your grandfather had all this wealth and then he lost it.
That's right.
Right? So it's a beautiful lesson to learn, right? Because you watch it happen to your grandfather and you almost swear that it will never happen to me.
Yes.
But then it happens
It happens to me, that's right.
Right?
Yes.
So we'll discuss that later. But for now, when your grandfather lost his wealth, did you feel like his freedom was being taken away?
I could watch him be frustrated and angry, and he came from such a regal place, always wearing three-piece suits and always having the world that he wanted to have around him. And as he got older, the lesson I really got out of that is somebody that was so smart, so kind, so hardworking, lost everything. And the reason he lost everything was his inability to adapt. And this is really the key, is that I saw somebody that was so powerful become not powerful. And in today's world, we are watching organizations and structures and sectors be so powerful, and they will soon be disrupted. And it's really about that lesson I got from my granddad and watching him that I'm now starting to bring around to people.
Okay, so 13 years old, you then make the money and you buy the video game,
Yes.
right? So then the freedom comes.
Yes.
Because now you feel powerful, because you've got this game and now you're with the kids,
Yes.
right? But then soon enough, something else comes around that then puts you at the bottom of the food chain once again, just when you thought you'd caught up.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, Mnet, if I'm allowed to say that here.
Oh, a decoder. The other channel.
The other
Don't
channel.
Get me
The other
fired
channel.
on my last day. What is wrong
sorry,
with
sorry,
you?
sorry. The new thing on the block then was the decoder. And all of a sudden, people were all speaking about the decoder at school. And I wanted to buy the decoder. So then my next paycheck, I saved up to buy the decoder. And then realizing that I had to pay monthly installments, which was the tough part. And then I had to then again save up to start paying the monthly installments for that.
So just like my earlier question when I asked you about the danger of not wanting to change, isn't there a danger of constantly chasing something then, only to realize that once you've caught it, that goal is actually also still moving?
Yes, I think transformation is the norm. In today's world, it's never the point that you arrive anywhere. There's such constant change that you need to be able to be adaptable and agile and flexible on a continuous basis. I think IQ was incredibly important in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. EQ became the most important thing to focus on. I think us moving forward, the muscle we need to be working and flexing is AQ, agility quotient. And it's this ability to adapt on a continuous basis that's going to get people to be more successful in the future.
Do you constantly get pushback in terms of what you're wanting people to adapt to? Because I mean, you go into companies and you are, you do strategy, you do turnaround strategy. I'd call you a change agent at times, Do you get pushback, and how do you work around pushback? Because I think it could be vital for anyone who's got ideas to pitch to their boss, or to their school, and you're always getting pushback because people are afraid of change. So what's the one thing I must always use as a weapon when I'm going in?
Patience, education, clarity, because what you got to understand is that the people that are in power today have been successful in the past. I call it the ironic rut of success, where you become both the prisoner and the warden of your success. Now you're telling people, because you've been so good in the past, it's now becoming irrelevant moving into the future. This is a very scary place. And so these older people are feeling frightened about the future. And what you need to be doing is slowly educating them, slowly bringing clarity to them, and allowing them to switch at a very 1 degree at a time. And I think people like you and I, with lots of energy, we become impatient with that.
We do.
And that puts people in a back foot, you know what I mean? So you've got to be doing it in a slow process. It's not a quick process.
But I know that one line, but we've always done it this way.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's the ironic rut of success.
Yeah.
Is that's just the way it's always been. So, we don't need to change.
This is how we'll do it. Look, we're just getting warmed up. Let's take a minute to take a sip of water. Coming up after the break, how exactly does one go from making millions and then losing it all in the space of 2 years? Author of What's Your Moonshot, and Magnetized, John Sanei, will tell us what happened right after the break.
Have I gone too far? Do you detect something different? If you look inside my head, would you say something's missing? If you could give all your riches just to say the word, would you risk it? These politicians so old, can't tell if the dead where they living.
We are global citizens.
I truly believe we live in the most fascinating time known to man.
It looks like a hip-hop video. Welcome back to Real Talk with Anele right here on SABC 3. If you just joined us, we're chatting to best-selling author of What's Your Moonshot? It's a trailblazing book about cultivating the best version of yourself, future-proofing your business, and using your authentic power to realize your limitless potential. His latest offering, titled Magnetize, offers you the opportunity to stop chasing your life and take control of your future. Global speaker and trend specialist John Sanei is our guest today. Trend specialist.
Yes.
How many people ever ask you to explain that?
I can. I think a lot of people do.
Okay.
And I think what when you become a trend specialist, you realize that what you need to do is categorize and contextualize trends in a way that give people the opportunity to innovate with purpose and laser focus.
Okay.
So if you're just looking at trends on their whole, they're too broad.
Yeah.
And different markets around the world have different trends. So you have veganism that's growing so much in San Francisco, but in Dubai it's not. So you've got to categorize and contextualize the trends into markets in the world, and then decision makers can make decisions that are laser focused.
Okay, speaking of a global, idea, what makes London appealing to you when you move to London, and is it more appealing than staying in South Africa?
So it's New York.
Yeah.
I'm going to New York, not London.
No,
Yeah.
when you were younger. You
Oh, when
moved
I was
to
London. Yes, I did move to London. Yes.
Are you
yes,
moving
yes,
to New
yes.
York?
I am moving to New York.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Sorry.
No,
I thought that's what you're talking
but I
about.
mean,
Yeah.
when you were 21, you moved to
Yes,
London to
yes.
be a bartender.
Yes, that's
what
right.
made it more appealing that you couldn't do it in South Africa?
I think the level of freedom you have in London around access to Europe, as far as traveling was concerned, also earning pounds was really powerful process back then. And for the first time, being away from my mother, which was actually the first time I kind of grew up. And I remember very early on in my trip there, where I had to pay rent for the first time and pay for my food for the first time, it dawned on me for the first time what my mother had gone through throughout our lives, her bringing us up as a single mom. And I wrote her a love letter that she still got framed in a house. Yeah,
What does the love letter say?
just to thank her and become aware of what she had done. You know, when you're a kid, a snotty-nosed kid, you complain because there isn't food on the table when you get home from football practice or whatever it is. You're snotty.
Yeah.
You don't even know that you're being like that.
Yeah.
And so the love letter was just really a deep level of gratitude for what my mom had gone through to have sacrificed so much for my brother and I.
What's her reply to the love letter?
Tears. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, she did her best for us. You know, she used to not buy clothes for herself for years and years and years to be able to look after my brother and I. So there's a lot of sacrifice from her part. And, you know, I have a huge soft spot for single moms. You know, it's not an easy game to be playing out there. So I'm big up with single moms.
You know, that love letter story just made every mother turn to look at their child like,
rubbish.
opaque.
Yeah.
So on the
funny.
flight back, because you
Yes.
come back, you moved back from London within 3 years, you've saved money and you moved back. On the flight back, do you consider yourself a success or a failure?
Absolute success.
Ah.
I had come back with some money and the rights for a brand of shoes that ultimately made me enough money to buy my first restaurant. So as soon as I got back from London, Edgar's back then phoned me and they said, listen, we've just gotten hold of London. They said that you've got the rights for these shoes. I was 23 years old.
Sure.
And I got the rights, and it really went to about 40 stores around South Africa, into Edgar's and into all sorts of different stores. So I was really excited about the prospects of what I was achieving.
And then you thrust into your first taste of proper success, right?
Right, exactly.
Because then you're buying the restaurants, and
Yes.
soon enough you own several restaurants.
Yes.
Right? And then it all goes pear-shaped.
Yes.
How?
I was so operationally focused that I didn't pick up my head to look at the market trends changing around me. I didn't pick up my head to understand that certain areas that my restaurants were in were starting to fade and dwindle. I didn't pick up my head to realize that there were new shopping centers being built around me, new brands being built. I just wasn't focused on what was going on out there. I was so focused in on my business. And as it happened, it very slowly started to demise. And because it was such a slow process,
You can't pick it up.
I couldn't pick it up,
Yeah.
you know, and the pain I went through from being this hugely successful person to starting to lose things and becoming shameful and embarrassed about the fact that I couldn't afford to go out, or having to lose my car and my house, and those sort of things started happening. And it was just so slowly. It almost feels like it was in slow motion, to be honest. Yeah. So it was just me not being aware on a macro level and just being too focused on sort of what I was doing.
And also because you're good at what you do. So you almost think, this can never happen to me. Don't worry, something tomorrow is going to happen. I'm going to flip it all around.
Because you think because you're bringing efficiency and excellent service, you're never going to fail. That's not the truth.
You lost your car, you lost your house, you lost your wife. What was the worst thing?
The wife was a later story, but we'll get to that one. Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't, because I was thinking, car, house, wife, which one was the worst to lose?
No, well, I often say I lost my car, my fancy house, my fancy businesses, my fancy clothes, and my fancy personality. And that's really what happened, is that I went into a depression without realizing I was actually in a depression. And I think that's the thing about depression, is that it comes in so intelligently into our reality that we don't realize we're suffering from a deep certain pain. And it took about 5 or 6 years for me to actually realize that I was in this sort of depression.
In your book, you touch on a trifecta, and you didn't call it that in your book. I'm now calling it that because that's how I understood it from you, where you speak about power, material, and freedom, right? So those three, please can you name them in order of importance for you? Power, material, freedom. I'll also tell you how my order goes, but after yours.
Power.
Power first?
Power first.
Me too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can't do anything else without power.
Right? And people are like, yeah, no, but material.
Freedom. And then material.
Okay.
It's, you know, the thing is you can get caught up by being a prisoner of your material goods.
Yes.
And that's not freedom.
Yeah.
You know, once you have the freedom, the material goods are just a cherry on the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if you work your power right, the material follows.
Oh, and it comes so easily. And that's really what my new book is about, is you don't have to be in this constant chase. You actually can hold, be elegant, be calm, and not act like a teenage boy throughout your whole life. So to this constant chase that happens, you know?
All right. I think I want to throw this out to you at home. Hashtag Real Talk with Anele. Power, material, freedom. In order of importance, let us know which one comes first, which one comes second, which one comes third. If you want to explain it, if your Twitter comes with more characters than others, then by all means, please explain it for us. But I just want to know, like, where your mind frame is on that. Life brings with it some harsh lessons sometimes, where we become victims of circumstance. But are you stuck in a rut where playing the victim is your go-to excuse for why your life has not improved? John has some advice on how to break away from the victim mentality. That's coming up next. But I also need to remind you that, remember, I've been telling you about the Huawei that you can win with Real Talk. Here is a reminder of how you can get yourself one of those fancy schmancy P20 Pro Series phones. Check it out.
Real Talk, Huawei and MTN are partnering up to celebrate the release of the new Huawei P20 series. The Huawei P20 Pro, the world's first triple Leica lens camera, is partnering with MTN, SA's fastest mobile network, to help you capture the best moments with your friends and family. We'll be capturing timeless moments and connecting with people in need, while giving you the chance to win the Huawei P20 Pro and 10 gigabytes free once-off MTN data. So tune into Real Talk for your chance to win.
Welcome back to Real Talk on SABC3, where the stage is yours. Tonight in studio, we're joined by a trained specialist, global speaker, Singularity University faculty member, John Sanei. His latest offering, titled Magnetize, offers you the opportunity to stop chasing your life and take control of your future. Now, people won't understand that because, but I'm supposed to be chasing, right? We're chasing dreams, we're chasing goals, we're chasing the deal. What do you mean by stop chasing your life?
I want to ask everybody at home, when did the race start? Who are we competing against? And what does it mean when we win? There is no ending. So there's this constant anxiousness around what we're doing. And so one of the chapters in my book, I start off by saying, are you running away from the darkness, or are you running towards the light? And what happens is, from the outside, the action looks exactly the same. People are ambitious, they focus, they're driven, they work hard. But one of them is fueled by anxiousness and the other one is fueled by excitement. And that's the difference, is when you're chasing constantly, you're anxious. When you're building with excitement.
Oh, wow. So how do I know the difference?
Feel it in your gut. Are you waking up in the middle of the night? Are you feeling anxious about things? Is your leg tapping up and down? Are you always impatient, always complaining, always not happy about what things are happening? What you've done is really become a victim of the reality that you're in. When you start building towards something that's exciting, you're calm, you're patient, you're elegant, you understand there's a process.
You build others.
You build others.
In the same process.
Yeah.
You also speak about an analogy of, and I like it, about peeing in your nappy.
Yes.
All right, please run me through that one.
Sure. So what happened with me for 5 years is that I sat inside a victim mindset without not realizing. And there's many different types of victims, but the three that I tap into, the first one is the martyr victim, where we feel sorry for ourselves. And that's kind of the classic victim. And most of us understand that victim. The other one is the arrogant, inferior victim, somebody that is always making anybody that's more successful than them below themselves. For example, if somebody's driving past in a Ferrari, quietly inside your head, you go thief, and you carry on walking. You know, so what you're doing is you're pulling people down to make yourself feel more superior to them. So arrogantly inferior.
And quickly, somebody, our clinical psychologist once said to us that if you want to keep somebody down, it means you must stay there with them.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
When we were like, whoa, okay, so
But
what's the
also,
other
like, if you think anybody who's driving a Ferrari is a thief, or if you think anybody who's getting a promotion is sleeping away to the top, you're never going to drive a Ferrari.
Yes.
That's the
because
thing.
that's what you think
That's
you
what
need
you
to do to get it.
exactly, and then you're judging it, right? The third one is the arrogant superior victim, my favorite one, where people are very angry and are always complaining about the government, about white people, black people, green people, yellow people, and what they do is they make themselves arrogantly superior to the problem. And so what they do is they invite their other arrogant superior friends over for a braai, and they scream and moan and shout about the world, and the only thing that changes when they leave is their blood pressure, nothing else.
Yeah.
So really what happens is when you've got to become aware of what victim mindsets are, it's not only the martyr victim, there's many different types of victim. And once you become aware, you can start changing them. And so there's many tools to change the sort of victim mindset.
So what's my first thing? Let's say the credits roll today and I realize that, you know, I'm stuck in this victim mentality. I'm the one who wheezes on myself and it's warm for the first 8 seconds.
So going back to the peeing in your
Yeah.
nappy, the analogy is that you're standing somewhere in winter, you're wearing a nappy, you're really cold, and all of a sudden you need a pee.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to decide and debate with yourself, should I go to the toilet or should I pee in myself? And what happens after a little while, you think, well, I'm wearing a nappy, and you have a pee in yourself.
Yeah.
And for the first 30 seconds, it feels amazing because you feel warm, you feel relieved, you have your own little private jacuzzi right here, you feel nice and warm. But this is exactly like victim thinking. You feel warm, relieved, and smell like pee because nothing's changed, really. And so we need to become aware that whenever you blame, shame, and not take responsibility for any aspect of your life, you can blame the government, your history, your future, anything you want. What you do with that lack of responsibility is you disempower yourself. You can't actually change anything. You say, well, it's that person's fault, that's person's fault, that's person's fault, I can't do anything. So really that's what peeing in your nappy is, just an analogy to get people to have a chuckle at themselves. So when you get caught up again doing that, go, I just peed in my nappy.
I peed, and also it reminds you that you're not a toddler. Toddlers are allowed to pee in their nappies because they're still being raised, they're still being taught how to go to the bathroom themselves.
That's right.
You have some sort of control over your life.
But I mean, think of a toddler throwing a tantrum. Think of an adult complaining about the government always. Same thing. It's a child continuously throwing the toys out the cot. It's like, get over it, get on with it, and get moving and start creating your future.
Magnetize, your latest book, just, hearing about it and briefly, reading it, it strikes me like The Secret with a Plan, though, because there's a lot of quantum physics to it. Am I right in assuming that?
So we've come to realize as humanity that what you focus on, you create.
Exactly.
And if you think about 10 years ago when The Secret came out, this was revolutionary news to most people. It definitely was to me.
Yeah.
And so now what's happened is that we need to mature our version of understanding how it actually works.
It needs a manual.
It needs a manual.
Yeah.
It needs a tool set. And so for me, what I've done with Magnetize is break down the human psychology required in order to create the world that you actually want to create.
Yeah.
And so what are the processes you need to take there? That's step one. Step two is, how do you expose yourself to the future? How often? What do you look at? How do you categorize it in order to start understanding where you need to be playing and where you not need to be playing? Yeah. And then thirdly, I talk about macro perspective, as how do we switch our perspective on a moment by moment, day by day basis to be able to bring our human psychology as well as future studies and start really starting to create a world that is so abundant and so exciting for ourselves when we take responsibility for it.
Abundant.
That's right.
That is all I'm taking. Look, I'm taking a lot from what you said today, but abundant, because I really do believe that there's enough for everyone. Plenty. And our anxiety and being anxious is us operating on a place where we think that it's gonna finish.
Yes.
But if you realize, if you operate from a place that it's abundant, we'll all get it.
There's just more than enough to go around, and I think society's built scarcity into our thinking.
Yes.
Banks have put us under debt, and we've bought into this idea that we need more all the time to feel satisfied. And really what that's doing is creating constant debt, constant anxiousness. And when we get off the treadmill of this constant chase, we start seeing it. We start realizing that there's this whole treadmill that's playing out.
John, you're the man. Round of applause for John, please. That was You're the man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If you're craving even more of John's pearls of wisdom, and I'm sure you are, then go ahead and get yourself a copy of What's Your Moonshot and his brand new one called Magnetize. A big thank you to John Sanei for joining us today. More with Real Talk after the break. Welcome back. This is Real Talk with me, Anele Mdoda, for the very last time. So last week, you will have heard that I've taken the decision to end my stay on the show. Today is my last day on Real Talk, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a bit of a switcheroo happening up in here.
Well, for the very first time ever on Real Talk, Anele has vacated her presenter chair and is my guest for tonight. Okay, we gotta get through this. Guys, it's been 4 seasons of entertainment, over 260 episodes of wisdom, and a good 2 years of Anele bringing us the best talk of our time. We are sad to see you go, my lady. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, we decided to let's just take you down memory lane, okay?
Oh gosh,
Okay,
please,
cool.
the outfits.
Let's just remind ourselves of the moments that we had together, yeah.
Good afternoon and welcome to the brand new Real Talk with myself, Anele Mdoda. They gave me a TV show, y'all. When I went into radio, I wanted to call myself the dominatrix of the airwaves.
Wow.
You
I'm
see
so
that-
glad you had a conversation with yourself. Which one is it?
If you love someone, let them sleep.
Thank you.
Let them sleep.
That's love. I knew I was worth fighting for because that's something that my mom gave me. My mom always told me how valuable I am.
You're sitting on the bench. I have you on the bench because you're a useless actor, and if you're not backed by the state, there are consequences. And they were not back, and I fired the whole lot.
Did that shock you as well?
I look up to you so much, people don't know.
When does that tension subside?
After they fluff for the first time.
At a dinner party, if you want to fart, apparently you must speak loudly and confidently as you let out a silent one. Because then no one ever looks at the one that's talking as the one that let it out. You take the bass out your voice when you talk to me.
That's right. That's right.
I love that saying. You take the bass out your voice when you're talking to me.
So we see things the way we are, not the way they are. Yeah.
That is very profound.
You know, my dream was always, can I afford to pay for things? Can I eat? Can I live a good life? That was my dream. So then when that was achieved, I was like, so now life, like, where do you go from there?
By the time I was 9, I knew I was going to end up in New York. I didn't know how and when.
Wow.
I was baptized in revolutionary fires.
My son coming out of the bedroom that day with a gun in his hand, and all I did was shake my head.
Phew. Okay, so my fear is snakes. Okay. My fear is snakes, and the team thought it would be a good idea for it's moving its head for it to come on set. And yeah, I thought that'd be cool. Yo.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you've had fun on this show. I mean, you can't deny that. But before you, obviously, there was Nolino on SABC 3. You took over. Do you remember what the conversation was when they approached you to come and do this show?
You know, it had been so continuous because, you know, youth is, when you're young, you're foolish.
Yeah.
So I thought I was ready for a talk show at 25, and I'm 34 now, and I only got the show 2 years ago. So I got it at 32. So you must understand, there's that 18 months, understand it, 5. So there's 7 years that, you know, from when I first, well, at 11, I wanted a talk show. At 25, I thought I was ready for it. At 32, I got it. So, you know, do you see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of, I want it, it's here, and when the dream arrives, the hard work starts.
Did you feel validated, though, by the offer? When the offer came at that time, did you feel, you know what, I've made it as Anele, look at where I am right now?
I can never be validated by a job.
Okay, well, that's a good one.
Never. There's very few things that validate me. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's talk about, I can imagine that, I mean, every time you finish the show, you've met incredible people. You've spoken to people that, I mean, are amazing in their own right. And that in itself, in a way, could impact you.
Yeah.
So I would love to know that, to this day, what do you remember as the most impactful moment for you on this chair?
Okay, my interview, and you know, and there've been a lot, and I know there was a clip of the lady who killed her husband, right? And when somebody's killed someone, you can go in and be judgmental, or you can go in and just want to listen to the story. And I found that I grew so much by listening to her. And the strange thing about Real Talk is that people thought it was like this celeb show, yet we had these moments of just normal people, you know, who had extraordinary stories. So that one, but Scoop Makatini's interview.
I just said it now on Twitter. That was one of my best interviews as well.
It really stands out for me because if I felt like we had such a connection, and because I know him, and there's things that I felt he was doing to be detrimental to himself, because I find him to be the best television presenter in the country, hands down. And I just felt like he wasn't being given a chance because of things that he had done. And it was more like a therapy session to get him out of that rut, to kind of make him remember how good he is.
And in terms of the interviews that you've done, have you gotten to a point where you're like, oh my God, I wish I could interview that person again. I wish I could have asked this question.
All the time. It's like, you know, like a musician. Once you release a song, and then you play it again for yourself, you always add on things. So when I go back to watch the shows, and I know I watch them to get better, I'm always like, you left it on the table. You left it on the, you useless, you left it on the table.
So, I mean, I remember a moment where you interviewed Ubrahu, and just like in a short space of time, he was gone. So a lot of people, that was their last time seeing him on camera. And that in itself must have impacted you, because you're thinking that, oh my God, I occupy the space that affords the people to have this moment. They had their last moment here with Ubrahu. What are you, now that you're leaving, what are you taking away from this show in terms of that impact and the impact that you've had on South Africa?
That it's never about you, you know, and that was the beauty of the show. And that's why people are like, oh, you know, Anele's intros are so amazing. And it's something that I would sit with the team, and I'm like, this intro is not celebratory enough. Especially if I know that I want to take them to a place where they're revealing something about themselves. That they have to realize that this platform is here to celebrate them. You know, we're going to talk about things, and if you'll allow me, I'm going to probe, and we're going to get into things, if you'll allow me. But ultimately, you know, we're not here to talk about what you've done wrong. We're not here to talk about what you could be better at, although we'll also discuss that, because we're all in a process of growth. But more importantly, we're here to celebrate you. I think there are too many shows that are there to not celebrate people. And there's too many people who are there not to want people to be better, or to want to celebrate the fact that people are doing well. And here, it was really about, you know, what have you done right? That's what I want to highlight. That's how I raised my son. I highlight the things that he's done right. And, you know, I kind of act like I'm not paying attention to the things that he's doing wrong, although I'm aware of them, to make sure that they don't happen.
And what has surprised you about this job, about occupying that chair?
That people are not really aware of their impact on people and their own power. And this is why it is our duty to remind people and ourselves that we are we are powerful, amazing, extraordinary, spiritual, loving beings.
Okay, I'm a little emotional, because you've given me a platform to you know, better my career, to become a better man. I mean,
Do you
I've
know
learned
why,
a lot.
Phil?
Why?
Because I'm Taurus, right? So I'm a bull, so I'm stubborn, right? And at times I find, and even in my personal space, that if I say something, at times I want you to challenge me when I say it. And people don't. It's like, and because I've got a very good grasp of words, right? So people are like, you said Anele, you know? And so the people in my life, be it lovers, be it friends, the people who are in my life are people who challenge me every day. Every day. What I say doesn't stand. And that's what you need to grow. You can't be surrounded by yes people, and you're not a yes person, and that's what I like.
And I mean, in terms of the conversations that you and I have had on the show, and we've tackled some really tough issues and stuff like that, and people at home would always be on some, why didn't you say anything there? I'm like, okay, but now you need to understand, I need to allow her to have that space, because I can't speak for women's issues. I'm not a woman.
True. I like that.
And I felt that we clicked well on that I understood when to hold back, and I understood when it's like, no, I'm not gonna take that. Was it the same thing for you as well? Did you feel that it was like a bit of a tit and tat brother sister thing?
Yes, definitely a brother and sister thing, considering that I didn't grow up with a brother. My little brother is 11 years old. So, but what I did find was, you and I knew how to read the room well, right? You understand what the zeitgeist of the country is, and you understand that you can get your point across without offending the other people, and that's what I like that we've done.
All right, cool. We'll chat some more. We'll be right back.
Real Talk, Huawei and MTN are partnering up to celebrate the release of the new Huawei P20 series. The Huawei P20 Pro, the world's first triple Leica lens camera, is partnering with MTN, SA's fastest mobile network, to help you capture the best moments with your friends and family. We'll be capturing timeless moments and connecting with people in need while giving you the chance to win the Huawei P20 Pro and 10 gigabytes free once-off MTN data. So tune into Real Talk for your chance to win.
Welcome back on this final episode of Real Talk with Anele. Many of you at home are tuned in for many different reasons. To catch your favorite celebrity, to get some expert advice on important matters in your life, and to be inspired by true South African stories. As Anele Mdoda always says, farewell to Real... as Anele Mdoda says farewell to Real Talk, we leave you with these moments.
Let's do the shoulders like this.
What, like how?
Yeah.
If you ever have to picture me to be spicy, you get your money back.
I love your kind of spicy. I love your...
She literally holds a notebook to her head like this. Make this, like, the precision.
And that is the truth.
You know when you just pray to God, you're like, dear God, thank you so much for black coffee. Just thank you. We came back from the hospital, and by then the house was full. Yeah. And we had to make tea and coffee for people. And then we were running out of cups and coffee. Yeah. But my mom had like these sacred cups and coffee that you couldn't drink from. Like she was waiting for the Queen of England to arrive before we used them. So then somebody's like, well, we need to use them. I said, you can't use those. Mom would die if you use those.
You actually did say that.
And then everyone in the kitchen just kept quiet and looked at me, and I was like, I'll let myself out. And you are the draw card, millions of people watching. And they're like, yeah, but if you accepted who you are, why the plastic surgery all the time?
I'm slowly getting there to a place of healing. I'm in a very good space right now.
Something as big as being homophobic could have easily tainted all my opportunities.
Listen, the Holocaust were the showstoppers. They were the showstoppers. When you grow up being told that you're constantly fat and you're fat, you get surprised when somebody hits on you. You're like, you're like,
you and I, when we're 60, we're going to co-host our radio show together. That's our dream.
Sister. I'm not fun, but sister.
Sounds like me.
Your lyrics stick, they make sense, they tell a story, and they take us on a journey, right?
That's a very nice compliment.
Oh, thank you. I hope someone's taping this so you can replay it at home. All right?
I sincerely hope you are still doing this at home and you're not just sitting and laughing.
So what you hold on to holds you down. It weighs you down.
The industry is hiring people like me, and they won't let me graduate to the next phase.
The people that they're hiring who are like you may dress like you, but they don't think like you. Everybody wanted to be South African when they were growing up. Everyone. But there was only one South African. It was you.
If your natural default is to take charge, then you need a man who understands that and who allows you to take charge. He can lead from behind. Now he's serving you in that way.
On opening day, when we went to Benoni High, I was wearing my father's suit. And it's hard when you stand there and there's rows and rows of kids and everyone's looking at you like you come from a different planet. But that's all I could wear.
This is my face. This is 35,000. I know you said
don't mention money. Leave money.
No, I love money. These people are crazy.
Listen, I was like, are they going to land the plane here? How is she getting here? Is a helicopter going to come down into the studio? Like, everyone's like, Anele, relax.
Absolutely.
Relax.
Right here.
She's a human being.
Absolutely.
She's on the right, most I can fit in.
Yeah, so tata no mama no.
Mama no me.
Wow, so Tuesday when I get to Monday.
It took me 2 hours to pick what I was going to wear because I was so scared. Whatever I wore, you're gonna rag it.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
And then
like the Christmas tree at the castle. You know the Christmas tree, when we clean up soon, and then the lights go off, and then they put it on when the visitors are opening the gate. Like that now, but like that. The top looks like a Christmas tree. Like my properties. Like, hello, Anel. You have made it, Joe. I'm on SABC 3.
How's it going?
This is for the best talk show in South Africa, and you know what? This is all your work. Thank you so much. Twiddles.
Is that... yeah. Is there anybody that you haven't talked to?
I'm thinking like everyone's been here. Huh?
Exactly.
Everyone's been here.
Joining us now, though, is programming manager from SABC, Mr. Hamilton Gubo, who's going to give a vote of thanks to Anele on behalf of the SABC.
Is Hamilton that uncle that gives the vote of thanks
at every function? We're having that moment.
Let's have champagne. Let's have champagne.
Get all protocol observed, Mr. Gubo.
Thank you so much, guys. Wow, what can I say? It's been a journey. It's been 4 seasons in motion. And in those 4 seasons, we have seen amazing highs and lows, and it's been beautiful. Thank you from our side, SABC3 in particular, and SABC3 at large. As for myself as programming manager, I thank you for contributing immensely to the brand SABC3. And I know that you have contributed immensely. I will repeat that again. You have been a very important part of the channel. So for that day as a channel, we are eternally grateful for coming on board and adding value to the SABC3 brand. And we know that this is not the last.
No.
We might see each other some other times. And again, I think we're just turning a new chapter for the show. And the show, we might be departing from the show, but the show still continues. But with that said, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Am I talking now?
Yeah, no, it's your turn.
I mean, like, how much time do we have?
We have enough time for you to say something.
Okay, because it's going to be a little, I don't want it to be lengthy, but I just want to call people on here because at the, I'll go on Twitter after the show and you guys will be like, oh my word, that was so great. And I'll always say, thank you, I'll let the team know because it's a team effort. And it's a team that I fought with and it's a team that I was hard on, but ultimately, I'm a teacher. In my other life, I would have been a primary school teacher, but I chose broadcasting. So it was important for me to come on and make sure that everyone around me is growing with me. So I'm just going to call them on. Yeah, I know that it's not done on TV because they don't have makeup on and all of that. But firstly, Lungani Kumete, please come here. Where is he? He's been so emotional the whole day. He is my PA. He's the person who made me look like this. Come sit here. And then Mabali Molloy, who used to wrote one of the best writers. Caroline Sita, Lisa, where are you guys? Everyone, this is the behind the scenes. They must come on here. They're gonna hide me. Dean, come on your social media. Pila, where are you? Come over here. Where is the team? Where is the team? Everyone. Merrick, where are you? He's in the van. Oh, Tiza is in the van. Nangu Ayo. Where's Maria? She cleans. My Maria, where is she? She's gone. Maria cleans. You leave coffee cups, you leave your Spanx, and you come back and everything is clean. I just really want to say thank you guys. You were such a young team and it was nice to work with you guys. It was lovely to grow you guys. We'll always be working together. You can always call me and say what's up. But you guys were wonderful. I want to give them a round of applause because they really put it on. And I don't know if he's allowed to come on here. Tabang, please come on here because he's not allowed to come. Tabang, come here. Tabang, make sure that everything runs smoothly. Please give a round of applause to Tabang. To Pratita, the driver. Pratita, please come. Come. This is our driver. He picks up our guests. He drops our guests off. Come stand here and get to owning football team. So this is what keeps the show alive. They are floaters of a dream. Thank you so much, guys. Round of applause. There he is, All right, where's Refilio and Lisa? Refilio and Lisa, are they hiding somewhere? Oh, Lisa! Oh, they're in the van. Okay, they're in the van. To everyone in the van who talked to me through this thing, woo, guys, sometimes you distract me when I'm making magic here, but thank you so much. And lastly, to my family, my dad, you are everything. Tata, you are everything. Thank you so much to my sisters, Unatu, Temsa, Uzama. You guys are my biggest critics and you are the loves of my life. Thank you so much to Florence, who looked after my child. I could not go out and do the things that I do if Florence was not making sure that Alake's heart was taken care of. And to all of my friends, to Book Club, to Sizwe, to Trevor, Kolisa, Kaya, you guys were the people who would watch the show and be like, that wasn't good and you know it. Tomorrow, go do better. So thank you to that. And most importantly, to the viewers of SABC3 who tuned in every single day. The stage is yours.